What if Order 66 caused the inhibitor chips to malfunction and killed all the clone troopers? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins inside of Palpatine's office on Coruscant. The hood of the Sith has been pulled back, as Palpatine has revealed himself to be Darth Sidious. His new apprentice, Darth Vader, knelt in front of him now after helping strike down Mace Windu, perhaps the strongest of the Jedi, next to Yoda and Anakin before his turn. Sidious felt the rush of victory flow through him. He let himself enjoy it for a moment, before giving Vader his new mission. He was to go to the Jedi Temple with the 501st Legion, wipe out all of the Jedi, and those scattered around the galaxy will be dealt with as well. Vader nodded to his master, and left to gather the clones. Once Vader left, Sidious moved to his communicator and prepared the message for all of the clone troopers. He pulled up Commander Cody on Utapau first, to ensure that Kenobi is killed. Palpatine told Cody the time has come. Execute Order 66. Cody said yes, my lord, and ended the message. And from here, Sidious would send a mass communication to all of the clone troopers. Execute Order 66. And Palpatine stared out of the broken window now, feeling the wind hit his face, as he waited for the extinguishing of the Jedi Order that would not ever be coming. As Sidious called Order 66 to the clones, the chips in their brains were activated, but they did not work as planned. It was as if the chips were a year past their effectiveness. When the Kaminoans mass copied the chips offered by Dooku, they were not tested. Dooku and Sidious were sure it would serve its purpose, but upon being activated in this moment, the chips would send an electric pulse through the brain, and within 5 seconds of receiving the order, every clone would quickly begin to die as their brains shut down. On Utapau, as Obi-Wan and his Varactyl climbed the cliffside, Obi-Wan had to pause. He felt a wave of death all around him. It was as if thousands of voices cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. Obi-Wan looked down to Cody and his men. Cody was on one knee, grabbing his head as all around him, men of the 212th were falling over dead. Obi-Wan leapt all the way down, asking Cody what was going on, and Cody only said the name Palpatine before dying. Obi-Wan looked all through the battle. The Republic had pushed the droids deep into the city streets, but now every single clone trooper was falling dead. In seconds, Kenobi was the lone survivor of the Republic on Utapau. He had no time to think. He had to escape. On Megiddo, Ki-Adi-Mundi yelled at Bakara and his men to follow him into a final assault. Megiddo was the home of fighting nearly every day of the war, and Mundi and his men finally were about to win this planet. But Mundi suddenly turned to see his men halt, grab at their heads, and suddenly begin collapsing to the ground. Mundi saw Republic tanks stop moving. In space, the Separatist ships quickly blew up the Republic Venators out of the sky. None of it made sense, but the Separatists poured onto the bridge, free to win this battle, and Mundi was quickly overwhelmed, being blown up by super battle droids, and all of his men lay dead. On Felucia, Aayla Secura, Commander Bly, and the men of the 327th Star Corps were moments away from entering a clearing full of Separatist forces when the order came in. Secura turned in horror as Bly called her name before falling to the ground. The rest of the men followed suit, falling to the ground or dying in their tanks. Secura moved to each one of them, trying to figure out what was going on, but she had to run deep into the forests now as Separatist forces flew by, blowing up the Republic troops. On Cato Nemoidia, Plo Koon was doing a final flyover of the main city with his men when the order came in. The Republic had just won the planet. Separatist forces were in retreat, but as Plo flew around, he suddenly saw the 5 clone fighters behind him all lose momentum, crashing directly into the city. One of the fighters crashed right into the clone camps here, but everyone inside was already dead. Plo sped down to find Wolf dead on the ground, and Plo got to the ground, putting a hand on Wolf's chest, pouring his force energy into Wolf, trying to bring him back, and it worked momentarily. Wolf lifted his head, telling Plo it's Palpatine. He did this. Then Wolf said it's been an honor, dying again. Even the Force could not heal these deaths. The same happened throughout the galaxy. Kashyyyk with Yoda and Gree, Seleucami with Stas Ali and Neo, aboard Republic Venators with Ahsoka and Rex, all across the galaxy. The 500 million remaining clones received Order 66 and their chips malfunctioned, killing them. Countless Republic systems fell back into Separatist hands within the day, as there was no army to fight for the Republic. Republic Venators became ghost ships, with some crashing into each other above planets. And all the way back on Coruscant, as Anakin Skywalker, Now Darth Vader got to the Coruscant barracks, he was met with the same reality. First, he saw the 2 clone guards at the front were fallen over, and Anakin ran inside to see that the entire group of the 501st, around 5,000 total men on Coruscant led by Oppo, all of them dead on the ground. And as Anakin stood here looking upon the men that served every day for the Republic, he realized now they all died the exact moment the Republic died, born to serve and fight for the Republic until the very end. Anakin was beyond confused, but he looked to the sky now to see something terrible. Some of the Republic Venators, seemingly abandoned, were on a crash course to smash into each other. Anakin had considered his options, and now he took off for the Jedi Temple. In space above Coruscant, one of the Republic Venators in the blockade was moving closer to another to be in position above the Jedi Temple in orbit. But when Order 66 came in, the ship was unable to stop moving, and these 2 Venators now crashed hard into each other, entering the atmosphere, descending down to the capital city. Anakin flew up the temple stairs and into the main gate, yelling at the Jedi that they need to get out here. Minutes ago, Anakin was intent on slaughtering the temple, but now a new challenge has arrived. The 2 Venators were falling to the planet surface, one of them in the general area of the Jedi Temple, and the other toward the Republic Executive Building. Anakin, Shaak Ti, and Syndrelic gathered as many Jedi as they possibly could. At least 1,000 of them soon stood on the outside of the temple, reaching up towards the falling Venator to stop its descent. They didn't have time to stop the other falling Venator. The Jedi could only hope that Republic security could stop its descent. As the Jedi at the temple reached up, the Venator came to a slow halt above the city. It was extremely tough to hold, but Shaak Ti now yelled at Anakin to get to a speeder. Fly into the Venator and get it out of here. Anakin listened, getting to a speeder, flying through the gaping hole caused by the crash. Explosions were going on all throughout this Venator, but Anakin managed to get to the controls and begin flying it back up into space. And as Anakin flew up, he looked out of the window at the other Venator descending down to the surface. As Darth Sidious looked up out of his window, he saw the falling Republic Venator as well. Republic security without the clones was minimal, and the ship full of explosions and fire got closer and closer to the executive building. Sidious reached up, calling on all of the power he could possibly pull from the dark side, and he poured more lightning, more dark power than ever before. He tried desperately to stop the ship, ripping it apart with his lightning, but it would never be enough. The destroyed Venator slammed into the executive building, and it stretched out nearly a mile long. Sidious died, and so did millions of citizens, hundreds of politicians inside of the building. From the sky, Anakin watched as his new master died, and the collective shockwave of debris and impact from the explosion traveled for miles. Buildings fell, the Senate chambers slowly began to collapse into the ground, and Anakin looked at Padme's apartment building. It was outside the range of the explosion, but the shockwave and the ground shaking from the crash caused it to shake and topple to the ground, with so many other buildings. Anakin could only pray that Padme evacuated in time. He couldn't help but feel that all of this was his fault, because, well, it mostly was. Coruscant City was in ruins. The thousands of Jedi here, of all ages, spread into the city to do whatever they could to help. Anakin felt numb, but soon he gathered himself enough to go down to the city and try and find Padme. Over the next few hours, thousands of surviving Jedi from across the galaxy would return to Coruscant, participating in the relief effort to help the people of Coruscant after Shaak Ti sent a message to every Jedi from the Temple Beacon. The war had come to an abrupt pause, as every clone trooper of the Republic was gone. Yoda, Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, Depa Billaba, Ahsoka, so many more Jedi returned to Coruscant, with a similar story about their clone troopers. The executive building was gone. The Senate building was gone. Early estimates had billions of citizens dead in the planet of 1 trillion people, and at least half of the 2,000 senators were gone, along with the Chancellor. In the relief effort, Anakin did find Padme alive in an emergency bunker, along with many women and children. The two of them hugged and cried together before Anakin re-entered the relief effort. Days would go by, and in these days, the Separatist forces would completely take over the galaxy, without any sort of real resistance. Some planets had civilian militias to hold back the Separatists, but the droid armies were seemingly never-ending. Planets would quickly follow the Separatist forces all around the galaxy. And on Coruscant, as everyone was still in heavy recovery mode in the city, Separatist Senate leader Avi Singh sent a message to whoever was now in charge of the Republic. The message was taken by Jedi Yoda and Shaak-Ti, along with Senators Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Padme Amidala. With Palpatine and most of his strongest supporters dying in the executive building destruction, most of the surviving senators were supporters of the movement that Padme, Mon, and Bail were putting together to bring this war to an end. In negotiations, the Clone Wars would now come to a formal end, as Avi Singh requested the one thing the Separatists ever truly wanted: to be a separate state outside of the Republic, with its own laws, own planet, and own people. And in exchange for this peaceful separation, Senator Singh offered to shut down the droids meant for war, and instead send all medical droids, repair droids, and any other supplies to Coruscant to help them rebuild the core of the Republic. The Senators and the Jedi knew they weren't getting a better offer than this, so they accepted. The Separatists officially won the war, becoming an official government in the galaxy outside of the Republic. Any planet that wanted to be a part of it could now join. And on Coruscant, millions of droids meant for relief aid in one way or another would soon arrive on the planet, aiding the Jedi and helping the people. One huge impact of the war ending was the Separatist Senate completely separating themselves from the people like Newt Gunray, Poggle the Lesser, Wat Tambor, Sandhill, and a few other leaders of the Separatist Council of Corporate Leaders. These leaders were exiled into the Outer Rim, and new leaders of their corporations would be put into place after days of vetting for corruption. Peace was slowly returning to the galaxy, and within weeks, the Separatist government now represented more planets in the galaxy than the crumbling Republic. Atop the Republic, Bail Organa became the Chancellor, and he ruled from the Jedi Temple, which was now converted to host some politicians with the political areas of Coruscant destroyed. As for the Jedi, they were aiding the Republic in their rebuild, but they wondered why all of this happened. Both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Plo Koon reported that Cody and Wolf said it was Palpatine. Anakin was the last known Jedi to see Palpatine. In questioning with the Council, Anakin would lie. He told the Council that he knew Windu, Fisto, Kolar, and Tin were fighting Sidious, so he flew past the office, seeing that all of the Jedi were dead. So he went to go recruit the clones to bring down Palpatine, when he found all of them dead in the hangar. Anakin had gotten so good at hiding his deception, and the Jedi mostly bought this story. There were some suspicions of Anakin lying, but not enough to do anything. The Jedi concluded that Palpatine killed off the clone troopers, but in research with the fallen clones, the cause of death was revealed to be the chips activating. So Anakin reminded the Council of Tup and Fives, and how the chips caused clones to fire at the Jedi long ago. Perhaps that was the motive now, but the chips malfunctioned. This made much more sense, and the case was closed. Now Anakin didn't only feel bad for cutting down Windu and resulting in Order 66 killing all the clones, he also felt bad for not listening to Fives in the moment. Padme would go on to give a healthy birth, and Anakin was filled with both immense joy and overwhelming guilt. He was intent on killing every Jedi to save Padme. He cut down Windu, and it resulted in every single clone trooper dying. Anakin felt responsible for billions of lives, and it was a guilt threatening to consume him. He fell for the manipulations of Palpatine, the Sith, and Anakin soon saw himself as the greatest threat to a galaxy at peace. He did not feel like he could protect his family. He felt like a threat to the peace. So one night, as Padme and the children slept, Anakin left. His guilt was simply too much to bear. Without telling anyone, Anakin left Coruscant and went into his own exile. Though he did tell one droid. Anakin would tell R2-D2 where he was going, but he ordered the droid to only come find him if the galaxy is ever in danger. He had everything he ever wanted, but he knew he didn't deserve it. So Anakin went alone to one of the first Jedi temples, Ahch-To, and he entered into the Barash vow, disengaging from anything but the Force itself as a form of atonement. With Anakin gone, Padme would be extremely saddened for months, but she distracted herself with work rebuilding the Republic and caring for Luke and Leia. With Anakin's disappearance, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano would become great caretakers of the children whenever needed. They would become very close with the twins, as they were soon admitted to the temple to be trained as Jedi. And for 15 years, the galaxy would see peace. The Separatist government consisted of roughly 800,000 planets, while the Republic had 700,000 planets as it rebuilt back up much better than before. Luke was the Padawan of Cal Kestis, while Leia was the Padawan of Obi-Wan Kenobi, hoping to honor Anakin's memory by training Leia to be a great Jedi. Yoda would step down, and Plo Koon became Grand Master. Memorials all around the galaxy were built for the clone troopers in remembrance of their service. Their collective death was a tragedy for so many that saw the clones in action, and their memories would live on through the people and through the Jedi. The people of the galaxy were happy, but this peace is not what everyone wanted. In the shadows, something sinister had been brewing for many years. Immediately after being exiled from the galaxy, Newt Gunray, Wat Tambor, and Poggle the Lesser came together and decided to get revenge. They were promised wealth, power, and peace, but instead they were thrown away like nothing. So immediately the three of them would travel to Utapau, gathering what was left of Grievous. After that, they traveled to the Karathon chop fields, where the ships destroyed in battles were sent for reconstruction. Using recon droids, the three of them located the Invisible Hand ship, and inside of it they found what was left of Count Dooku. They took a large vial of Dooku's blood, and together with the corpse of Grievous, they went to Barin, the icy moon of Geonosis. Poggle and the Geonosians had a secret laboratory here under the ice, and they would take Grievous's corpse along with Dooku's blood and soon begin a long reconstruction process to bring back their two leaders in the form of one. The icy chambers would soon echo with the hum of advanced technology and the chittering of Geonosian scientists working tirelessly around the clock. Grievous's broken body lay on a massive inclined table, his skeletal form stripped down to its raw, fragmented components. The Geonosians would reassemble, recreate his mechanical limbs, reinforce his skeleton with cutting-edge alloys provided by Wat Tambor's Techno-Union friends. Intricate wiring, synthetic muscle fibers were meticulously integrated, enhancing Grievous's strength and ability. Nearby, vials of Dooku's blood were carefully handled as the scientists injected the blood into Grievous's remaining organic tissues, using gene-edited tools to encourage the integration of midichlorians. The process was fraught with complications, as Grievous's cybernetic nature fiercely resisted the infusion of the Force. Months of work would turn into a year, marked by relentless experimentation, setbacks, and very little progress. But they were fiercely determined, and as the final adjustments were made, the group inserted the brain of Grievous, surgically repairing and reactivating it. It worked. He had the Force. When finished, the chamber fell into an expectant silence. The air was heavy with anticipation, as Grievous finally opened his eyes. It was a miracle. Newt Gunray approached, asking Grievous if he could hear him. Grievous felt his power, his strength, and he remembered Kenobi, and he broke off from his medical table, demanding to know everything that happened. Grievous was informed of his death, the war ending with a Separatist victory, but only a victory for those who wanted peaceful negotiations. Wat Tambor told Grievous that the real Separatists, the ones who fought like them, were thrown away like trash, but in the shadows, they can have their revenge. Poggle the Lesser stepped forward. He was the only survivor in the galaxy, with the plans to the Death Star. And so Grievous would analyze these plans, and after a few hours, he would determine they will not build a Death Star. Instead, they will build a single ship with a cannon powerful enough to destroy a planet. If they try to build the Death Star in secret, it will take far too long. They will surely be caught. So, for these 15 years, this small group of Geonosian scientists, along with mechanical droids, would put together the most powerful ship in galactic history, with a supercannon powered by kyber crystals. Many of the crystals used to power the laser would come from Grievous. He would spend these years hunting all of the Jedi that would die around the galaxy during the final days of the war. Roughly 2,000 of them died with the clone troopers, and their bodies were largely left behind with the sabers that Grievous would now hunt down. Other crystals would be secretly mined on Utapau, Jedha, Christophsis, all in the utmost secrecy, and if any Jedi ever spotted Grievous, they would die long before they could ever report seeing him. In one of these instances, Master Oppo Rancis would come across Grievous at an old temple outpost. Oppo couldn't believe it, but before he could report this, Grievous sensed his presence. With an eerie laugh, Grievous used the Force to rip apart the outpost, revealing Oppo. The old Jedi could not believe it. Not only was Grievous alive, but he wielded the Force. Grievous ignited his 4 blades, using the Force to enhance his anger and his speed, and he would destroy Oppo in quick combat, choking him out with the Force after stabbing him, telling the Jedi he will destroy all of them. And so when these 15 years were over, Grievous would record a message to the galaxy, announcing his return, demanding their surrender to his rule, or risk destruction. The message would be sent out to the galaxy at peace. The Republic and Separatist state were coexisting and helping each other. The Jedi even agreed to help resolve situations with the Separatists when requested upon. The galaxy was happy. But today, Separatist leader Avi Singh received a message which he would play for the Jedi and the politicians of both Republic and the Separatists. It was General Grievous himself. The cyborg declared his return to the galaxy, demanding an immediate surrender to his rule from the Separatists so he could reclaim his droid army. Grievous told them he does not care about their politics, he does not care about their government, he only lives to see all of them die. Naturally, Senator Singh announced they would not be surrendering to this psychopath. This actually made Grievous happy, and after years of buildup, his massive superweapon ship rose from the Geonosis moon with a crew of Geonosians, and they took off for Axis, the capital planet of the Separatist government. The people of the galaxy were completely on edge for the first time since the Clone Wars. They felt that the galaxy was united enough to fight this threat, but with both the clone army and the droid army gone, they were somewhat vulnerable. And as Avi Singh was meeting with Chancellor Bail Organa on Raxus to discuss this, Grievous exited hyperspace with his ship. Singh attempted to make contact with Grievous, but it was no use. Grievous already gave him a chance to surrender, so inside of this ship, Grievous ordered the Geonosians to fire, and so the super cannon powered up, firing a beam of energy into the surface, through the planet and into the core. The beam sent a continuous pulse of the laser, resulting in planetary explosions, until the entire planet went up in the explosion, leaving behind only debris of Raxus. Grievous felt the wave of death through the Force. This was good. The galaxy would soon be his. He would kill every traitor, every Jedi, every one. And he had the ship taken back to the Geonosis moon to repower up the laser for Coruscant. The news of Raxus and the deaths of Avi Singh and Bail Organa spread like wildfire, and the Jedi Order, now 15,000 members strong, would send teams of 10 Jedi to every possible planet to search for Grievous and his superweapon ship. The galaxy was suddenly in more danger than ever as the Jedi spread out, searching for this warlord. And at this time, R2-D2 would remember Anakin's final order to him: if the galaxy is ever in danger, find him. So while the Jedi spread out into the galaxy, R2 showed Luke and Leia the map to Ahch-To in order to find their self-exiled father. On the icy moon of Geonosis, Grievous was patiently waiting for his ship to be ready to fire again when a Jedi transport emerged into the atmosphere, descending down to the icy surface. One of the Jedi search teams actually found him, so Grievous went down into the lair, preparing for their arrival. The Jedi team of 10, led by Masters Depa Billaba and Bode Akuna, led the 8 Jedi Knights into the icy caverns. It was clear this place was not abandoned, and as they made their way into a cavern hall, the door behind them was closed. One of the Jedi Knights said she feels very cold, colder than she should, and 2 more of them started grabbing at their throats, choking. Everyone ignited their blades as the 2 choking knights had their necks twisted around and they dropped dead. Grievous then slammed down to the ground from inside the ceiling, crushing another young Jedi, and he ignited his 4 blades with an excited laugh. With immense speed then, Grievous immediately lunged at the group, his sabers moving in a deadly blur. Depa Billaba met his attack first, her blue blade on the defensive, but Grievous' strength immediately overwhelmed her. He unleashed a torrent of dark energy, sending Depa sprawling, her body convulsing with pain on the ground. Bode Akuna tried to flank him, but Grievous seized him with the Force as well, lifting him high up, slamming Bode into the ground with a bone-crushing impact. The 5 Jedi Knights attempted a coordinated assault, their sabers flashing in unison. However, Grievous anticipated their every move, and enhanced by the Force, he was able to parry, striking at them with brutal efficiency, his sabers cutting through their defenses. One by one, they fell to his onslaught, their sabers extinguished in quick order. He then grabbed both Depa and Bode as they barely clung to life, telling them they should be honored to be the first Jedi to die in his new crusade. He crushed their throats as the cavern fell silent. Grievous prepared his ship for takeoff to Coruscant. On Ahch-To, R2-D2 took Luke and Leia Skywalker to the island Anakin was on, and the 2 Jedi Padawans would find their father floating in the air, surrounded by the Force. He was in the Barash Vow, existing only within the Force for the last 15 years. But upon feeling the presence of Luke and Leia, along with the excited chirps of R2, Anakin opened his eyes, standing on the ground, looking upon his children. Luke and Leia held both resentment and happiness to see their father. They always somehow knew how much Anakin loved them, despite his abandonment, and together, they told Anakin about what is happening in the galaxy. Anakin told his children he will someday explain everything, but for now they need to save Coruscant. And so right as General Grievous emerged with his super ship above Coruscant, Anakin, Luke, and Leia emerged in their own Jedi starfighters. Anakin had R2 with him, and he ordered Luke and Leia to target the super weapon. Keep it inactive for as long as they can. He will destroy it from the inside. Anakin was able to destroy the hangar shields and enter quickly, as Grievous did not expect resistance immediately upon entering the atmosphere. But he was quickly informed of someone entering the hangar, along with 2 ships destroying turrets, targeting the cannon. Grievous ordered the Geonosians to get into starfighters and take down these Jedi outside the ship. Luke and Leia were struggling to reach the super weapon through heavy turret fire, but luckily reinforcements arrived just in time. Hundreds of other Jedi either arrived back on Coruscant or flew up from the surface, including Obi-Wan, Grandmaster Plo, Ahsoka Tano, and so many others. They distracted the turrets while Luke and Leia got to the cannon, firing at it, rendering it offline for a bit. Inside of the ship, Anakin got to the reactor and was ready to destroy it when he saw Grievous waiting for him. Grievous growled out that he'd heard Skywalker abandon the galaxy, but it seems he's chosen to die here instead. Anakin ignited his blade for the first time since cutting down Windu. He was determined to use it for good this time. He would redeem himself. The clash was immediately ferocious. Grievous lunged forward with cybernetic speed, his sabers whirling around as Anakin flipped over him, blocking strikes behind his back, each clash sending sparks around as Anakin leapt down into the reactor room. Grievous's strikes were brutal and relentless, driven by his dark side fury. Anakin matched him with a combination of agility and the calmness, along with peace of the light side that he found in his years of exile, helping him stay centered in this duel. As they fought, Anakin's strategic mind worked furiously. He knew he had to disable the super weapon. The reactor was the key. The reactor powered the weapon. So between strikes, he sent powerful force pushes and precise saber throws towards critical control panels and support structures. Anakin acted like he was just missing Grievous, and Grievous was far too angry to notice what was initially going on. Each destructive act sent showers of sparks and shrapnel into the air, causing the reactor to stutter. Alarms were blaring in the ship. Grievous finally started to realize Anakin's plan, and he became even more vicious, unleashing blasts of the Force, forcing Anakin to leap away as he used the Force to hurl debris at Grievous, momentarily slowing his advance, creating openings for more strikes at the reactor systems. The reactor room began to destabilize, the core's glow fluctuating wildly. As energy conduits ruptured, control panels exploded. Anakin fought with a new energy, knowing that time was running out, and he delivered a powerful kick to Grievous's chest, sending the cyborg sprawling into a bank of consoles. Without hesitation, Anakin turned his attention fully to the reactor, and he realized what he had to do. Anakin quickly used his comm, speaking to R2. He recorded a message for Luke, Leia, and Padme to tell them he loved them. He then turned, using his lightsaber to slice through the primary power couplings, driving his blade right into the reactor core itself. A blinding flash of light and a deafening roar filled the room as the reactor began to overload. Grievous charged at Anakin with a final desperate fury, but it was too late. The reactor exploded, taking Anakin and Grievous with it, and the giant ship ruptured from the inside out. Coruscant citizens cheered. Jedi all felt great relief as the ship exploded like a firework. Luke and Leia were stunned, but they knew their father made the ultimate sacrifice. With it all over, the galaxy would unite once more under one government, but it would not be the Republic or the Separatists. It would be something new, and it would prosper under Chancellor Mon Mothma. The Jedi spread their influence across the galaxy, ensuring a conflict like the Clone Wars can never happen again, or a warlord like Grievous could not rise in secret. The Skywalker family would all view the message from Anakin in R2-D2, and it would be a happy moment seeing him one more time. Days later, as Obi-Wan Kenobi slept alone in the temple one night, he felt a familiar presence, an old friend. He sat up, walking into the hallway where the ghost of Anakin Skywalker waited for him. He was redeemed for his actions so long ago, and now is one with the Force. He and Obi-Wan talked for a long time, and Obi-Wan felt true happiness as Anakin was preparing to soon reintroduce himself to Luke and Leia, telling them about his history as the Chosen One. And folks, that is our longer story for today. I usually keep it to 20 to 22 minutes or so, but I don't know, with the premieres and just like not releasing them right when I'm finished, I just thought, hey, let's write a longer one. So I had fun with this. Hope you guys enjoyed the initial part and then the second, third, there's a lot going on here. Initially, I didn't really know where to go with this, because I was like, well, if the clones all die, Separatists are just going to step in and win. So I had that happen. But I also had Palpatine killed off by the falling of the Venators into Coruscant's atmosphere. I thought that was fun to just kind of have that be a center plot, with Coruscant kind of needing to be rebuilt. And Anakin, you know, we usually have him die, we usually have him just be, like, forgiven. This time I wanted to go into self-exile, kind of mirror Luke in The Last Jedi, sort of, so hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought, and of course, him coming back at the very last second to save the galaxy and sacrifice himself. Grievous coming back, why not? That was fun. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video.